Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to the fall series of Youth Power PDX's Speak Up, Sing Out event, the last day out of 6. Today we will be featuring a musician, 3 of our youth corps on a panel, and 3 more musicians this evening. My name is Rena Markvaller. My pronouns are they, them, and I will be your host for all day today. Back again from a couple days ago, we have Pedro Cruzado. Welcome.
Hello.
How you doing today?
Doing pretty good. It's Christmas Eve.
Heck yeah. Awesome. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, name, pronouns, a little bit about your work.
Yeah, I am Cruz. I go by Pedro Cruzado. My pronouns are he, him, and you should check out my music on SoundCloud. I think it's kind of good.
Awesome. Before we get started, I'm going to ask you similar questions to what we had before. I was just wondering if you could describe your identity and your background.
My identity, I am Chicano, so I'm a Mexican American. I don't know. I grew up poor, in the ghetto, but it was cool.
Solid. What impact has that background and identity had on your art?
Well, it's definitely given me a different view on life than I feel like most other people grow up with. So, just being open to a lot more things, handling certain situations differently, and I guess my life is kind of like a reflection of my art. So
Totally. Awesome. Would you mind telling us your SoundCloud so we can check you out online?
oh yeah, it's just my name, Pedro Cruzado.
Awesome. Remember to look them up. All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, this one's called Shithed. It's the same over and over to the T. not much, but I feel it in my gut. Something twisted about my luck. She said she loves me, I can't hear it's from the drugs. She can't feel me, only except in her guts. I think it's funny when you start to feel alone. You really see for what it is that pain is home. Trying hard not to lose my sight. High blood seems to hide my eyes. Can you wait? I'll be back in 2 months. I can't satiate your need for lust. This one is called Death Before Dishonor. I used to think that I wasn't good enough. I walked around with my head down. I met some people who really didn't give a fuck. I think I finally met my crowd. Tired of waiting my turn. I see your pain, baby, I see a lot of hurt. Let's just run away and pick up all the dirt, and you know I'd lie to you. But the roses in your hair, they cut so deeply, but you think it's worth it. And the note right over there, the same red from when your heart stopped beating, yeah. Effort, it's not that hard. Let's not think that far ahead. I know you're hinting at the shades pull down. Don't you like it in the dark? Like a dog fight, you can go for my neck. I have a soft spot until it comes to the end. I wish I didn't have to, but I'm scared, and I wish I held you till the end. They cut so deeply, but you think it's worth it. And the note right over there, the same red from when your heart stopped beating, yeah. I don't mind dying young, I just wanna die happy. I don't mind dying young, I just wanna die happy. I don't mind dying young, I just wanna die happy. I don't mind. This one is called Grump. Subject matters that I'd rather be dead. I feel at home, I can tell you that it's fine, but these things rely on time. Just wanna be left alone. I'm not dramatic. Just wanna be left alone. This is new, but I'm still scared to lose it all, but I don't care. I don't wanna stay here at all. Please don't make me stay and take the floor. I can make it better now, it's true, but I don't wanna stick around with you. You make me feel bad about my pain, but it's not my fault. I was born this way. Just wanna be left alone. I'm not dramatic. Just wanna be left alone. I can't breathe. I'm bleeding on concrete. These nightmares, my daydreams. That's why I never sleep at all. This next one's called Coño. If I leave here, would you stay patient and wait, no matter what they say? Promise to never ever change. Pero si yo me importa bien y si no tú lloras, I'll give you everything you wanted. I'll give you everything I got. I'll give you everything you wanted. I'll give you everything I. If you want it, I drop off the face of the earth. If you want it, I'd give you my heart for all that it's worth. But you don't want that now. No, you never. That's it.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I remember those from the last set. Incredible. Love to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are some interview questions?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm in listening to your music, I've started to wonder, how would you self-describe your songwriting?
I usually just like write like a riff or something, and then like I'll play it and I'll say I'll try and make like up one line that I really like, and I kind of just build off that in a general theme because I feel like my songs, like none of them are about one thing. It's usually just a bunch of general ideas related to each other.
Yeah. And is there like a genre that you conform to or that you describe with?
I wish I knew how to describe it. I honestly don't.
Are there any like artists that have inspired you?
Um, yeah. So I think maybe the first one would be like Mac DeMarco, because in like eighth grade, I wanted to play music, but I just never like I never wrote any of my own stuff. And then I saw that he was doing like entire albums on his own, and that really inspired me to do it. So I did. And I think musically, maybe like Title Fight and like Otis Redding.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I've only recently started listening to Mac DeMarco, and I get why it could be an inspiration.
Yeah.
um, uh, Switching gears a little bit, what are some issues that are important to you today?
Um the the lack of I forget the word for it. But the lack of compassion people have for each other and for people in need, really, really upsetting.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely understand that. Um, and since Youth Power PDX is all about intersectionality, especially youth intersectionality, what does intersectional youth power mean to you?
Um, I think like not fitting the like just societal norms, and maybe just being kind of being outcasted just because of it. But I think that intersectional youth power is about coming together over those differences and supporting each other.
Yeah, of course. And that totally ties into, compassion.
Yeah.
Is there a way that that issue to you or just intersectional power in general has impacted your work?
Um, kind of. I think it's impacted my life, and like I said before, my art is just kind of an embodiment of my life. So I guess in that way it has.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I guess we mentioned before artists that have inspired your work. Are there just people in your life or in general or role models that inspire just the way you live?
Yeah, definitely my parents. My parents have had pretty rough life, so just to have people with like just a lot of like experience to kind of give that to me so I can have like a head start. I think a certain point of view on life that not as many people I don't think are lucky enough to maybe experience.
Mhm. Yeah. And I guess my final question would be, is there any advice that you have for aspiring musicians?
Um, do not stress so hard. Don't stress yourself when you're writing music. I think if you just come up with something you like, um, I think you should definitely be making music for yourself, and you do not let it get to you, because it is very brutal if you do.
Yeah, of course. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you guys so much for having me on this. This is really cool, and I love watching all the other artists and speakers speak.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and I'm so happy to have you on here as one of these incredible artists. Can you tell us again where we can find you on like social media and SoundCloud?
SoundCloud is Pero Cruzado. My Instagram is the same, PERROCRUZADO.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. It was so wonderful having you, and I hope you have a great holiday.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. All right, audience, tune in, stick around. In about 10 minutes, we've got a panel from the Youth Core for Youth Power PDX. All right. Hey.
Hi.
Nemo, you around?
Hello.
Yes. Hi. Awesome.
So should we introduce it how we typically do, or just jump right into it?
I think we could just jump right into it. I mean, first of all, welcome audience to the Youth Corps panel. Welcome Youth Corps to the panel.
So excited.
All right. I guess we could just start by introducing ourselves.
Sure.
Cool. Well, my name is Rena. My pronouns are she or they. I am a queer musician and queer rights advocate in Portland.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Miner. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a Black activist in the Portland area.
Hi, my name is Nima Youssef. I go by she, her. I'm an African American / Somali American hijabi, and I love advocating for racial justice, social justice, and mental health advocate.
Awesome. Well, we can jump right into our core questions. What inspired each of us to join Youth Power PDX?
I'll take that one first. So recently I've just gotten like a lot of opportunities just through like surfing social media and stuff and finding really cool things that are like for activists and for youth especially, that are really great opportunities and like for networking and learning really important skills. And so I came across Youth Power PDX and I thought it looked really cool. And obviously our group also works with other really cool organizations. So I thought it would be really, really interesting to join. And just like stalking their Instagram and seeing old events that were done that were really, really cool. And so I thought I would just love to be a part of it. And I've always loved event planning and things like that. So I was just really, really interested.
Well, I can go next. I guess I had always really enjoyed being a part of organizational groups, especially when it came to social justice and youth. Friends of Noise, Andre directed me to the Summer Speak Up Sing Out event where I got to meet such incredible youth on the radio show. So when this opportunity came up, I saw another chance to work with incredible youth and recruit incredible musicians of today.
I basically found about this organization because I worked with this like former organization called Your Street, Your Voice that like centers social justice and architecture for BIPOC and minorities and etc. And I checked out their Instagram one day and then I like found this opportunity. And I knew that I had a lot of leadership and activism and advertising experience. And I just like looked through the Instagram and I just like loved it. And yeah, that's basically why I joined.
Awesome. Well, it looks like the next question is how would you individually define youth intersectionality?
So I guess I love this question. I feel like it's like the biggest thing with Youth Power PDX is just youth intersectionality. But I think how I would define it, and I think about this a lot, is that it's just like everything. Like it's just a big through line throughout activism and what is becoming the future and what is becoming of the world. And I think that youth are the basis for just so many things, and that especially in this day and age we're so connected through social media and through just like being globalized and having pathways just throughout people with different backgrounds and different races and identities. And I think that allows us to expand our minds and also create and think of new things that haven't happened before. And, you know, there's like all this negativity in the world. And a lot of times things can feel hopeless, but I feel like with youth intersectionality, it really allows for positivity and innovation. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll go next again. Youth, I mean, like you said, Kaylee, youth intersectionality to me is, you know, a requirement, or intersectionality in general, just for anything to be accomplished in its true and honest sense. It needs the combination of cultures and backgrounds and different types of people. And, you know, that's what I think is so incredible, especially about this group and this event, is that it's a core value. Yeah.
For me, I basically think it means like basically that everyone is just like accepted, like different cultures, identities, many just other perspectives, and that we acknowledge other people's experiences and their barriers, because there's just a lot of that can contribute.
So our next question is, how has your identity impacted our work with Youth Power PDX?
All right. I can take that one. Well, I identify as a queer person and therefore a queer rights advocate. And that's what I have been able to bring to the table in this group, is just the compassion that comes with working with a community that has been hurt. And I have gotten the chance within this group to, you know, as a white person, additionally step back and, you know, leave a pathway and support for BIPOC youth to, you know, speak and have a platform, rather than yet again another white person having that platform. So I guess I'm just able to bring my experience in some areas of identity as a queer person, and I've also been able to see other people's experiences.
For me, I would say being Black has definitely had a really large impact on my life, and therefore with my work with Youth Power PDX. And I think it's been really nice because we're such a diverse group that I feel not so alone in my identity and in my race when I'm working with this group. And I think that makes me more confident to like do the work that I need to do or advocate for the things I need to advocate for. And working with the different youth and the different mentors is just really great, because as like I bring my Blackness to it, I also have a feeling of belonging that doesn't really come often with being Black and living in Portland. And so I think that it's just really opened up kind of doors of just what it means to have a place in a place where it doesn't always feel like it, if that makes sense.
For me, I like that this organization like centers BIPOC and like etc. And for me as a person of color, many people and me has been like affected on like racial misconceptions. And I thought in this program I can like educate people and like basically truly have justice.
Awesome. Our next question was, what has been the most demanding aspect of working for Speak Up, Sing Out?
For me, it's definitely been grant writing and getting those in. I know Andre wants to yell at me because I haven't finished one for communicators yet, but that also has its upsides because it's really interesting to learn about the ins and outs of grant writing. and how much you need to know about an event to do such. But I definitely think that's been one of the most demanding parts of it.
I think for me, the most demanding part was my main role was communication between the participants, and keeping track of everyone and making sure they were all up to speed and prepared for their performance or their interview. And it was like some 18 artists and 10 panelists. So that was probably the most demanding part, was keeping up with all that communication.
Mine was probably like managing like the panel stuff, and like I haven't done a lot of panels and like public speaking a lot, so like being on the spot for me is like not the best. So it's probably the most demanding part of like learning how to like public speak and like do panels in general, because I'm like not really familiar with panels, and like managing that and advertising for that was really hard.
Totally. And our last core focused question is, what has impacted you the most in working for Speak Up, Sing Out?
I can take this. I think what's impacted me the most just has been when I go on to host a segment. I feel like I'm just blown away every time by the people who join and who share their talents. And I think it's really cool because a lot of the times, and especially as of late, everything is so monotonous, and you're seeing the same people, and you have the same routine. So it feels like having that diversity and seeing all of these different people from different backgrounds with different skills and talents has just been really incredible. And it allows me just to see how diverse it is, especially in Portland and among youth. And also getting to talk to some really cool people, which has been really an honor.
Yeah, for me, it was pretty much the same thing. It's just like the people that I got to connect and communicate with. The youth core panel, just seeing how, again, youth intersectionality all came together to create this event. And it was really incredible to see how everyone had priorities that they wanted to, focus on, and how those priorities could be sorted out. Like, we want to focus BIPOC youth. We want to make our event accessible. There were just, not a lot that was forgotten within the group. And then definitely the people that we brought on to the event, hosting a panel, was just so impactful. Especially yesterday, I hosted a climate justice panel, and to talk to those women was so cool.
For me, I learned in this experience a lot of like organizing and advertising for like an event, because I've done that before, but I feel like I learned more, and I've definitely learned more about youth intersectionality and more about activism, and like doing an event and listening, because I did that identity panel, just listening to all those inspiring people was really beneficial and good for the experience.
Awesome. Well, moving on to our questions asked by individuals. Kaylee, did you want to start with one of yours?
Sure. So I like this one. If you could go back and take back 2020, starting on January 1st, and no major events would have occurred, would you, and why?
I guess I'll take this one first. I could say now that with my experience and the privilege that I have, like, of course I'd go back. I've experienced a ton of personal growth, and I've picked up some new hobbies, but I've, something I've also learned over, the course of quarantine in this year is the level of compassion and consideration for others when the world really became a public health issue and every single thing that we did became a public issue. And, it felt like suddenly everything wasn't about myself. And I didn't feel that way before, but I feel like it had entirely, but I felt like it had more of that impact on other people that suddenly everyone else mattered too. And I could say that value was so important to society that I would not go back and do it again without any major events. But I, with that value of considering other people, if I had the power to go back and take away the hurt and the pain that people have been through, I would have to do it. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I feel like in the long run, it's kind of the only option just because so many people have died and so many people have lost their livelihoods. And it's just such a widespread issue that it's almost like an impossible decision because on one hand, major events can be considered, riots and like this whole new wave of activism. And, you're losing something with that when you take it back and you no longer have this awakening among like such a large white community that's really been one of the things that has tipped the scale, I believe, and taking that back would erase that progress. And I'm not saying it wouldn't come again because it's bound to, but it definitely be postponed. And I think that that's something that we need immediately, and I'm glad that it's happened. But again, like even minus self-discovery and, a new outlook a lot of people have, I think I would take back this year.
For me, well, I totally agree that many people hurt and died because of this pandemic and many other stuff. I really think we could have took back about how we like settled and done things so like things couldn't happen. But one event that I'd probably take back was like it was like a Black Lives Matter assembly. We couldn't do it because of the postponed because of the pandemic. And I wrote in a lot of like a spoken word poem and I couldn't like say it. And I feel like it would have been very beneficial for people to heard. But yeah, that's probably something I would take back. But I probably wouldn't take back like the opportunities I've gotten and learning a lot of things about what I'm passionate about and my personal growth. But the other stuff I definitely would take back. And I think we should all take in consideration of like what we have done wrong.
Yeah, I'm just going back on it. Like I think it is an impossible question, Kaylee, because on one hand it is kind of saying like a few for the many to like keep going and not erase all that has happened for the future that this year has created. But it's really hard to feel like you'd be sacrificing those few. When I say few, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's quite a lot. And it's like really sad, but definitely because, progress really never comes without a price. And I think this year has been a really heavy price. And, that's kind of what it asks is like, was it too much? And that's kind of always what I think I'll be thinking about. And I think has just been a question for many revolutionaries is that like what was the price of like getting to where you were, and I think
Yeah, I really think that's something we should acknowledge.
But again, like it's necessary and change is always necessary, and that's just the order of the world. So yeah. Nemo, would you like to ask one of your questions?
Yeah. What platform / organization / people inspired you to do activism?
Actually have a weird answer for this. It's going to sound so weird because they're not, it's not a social justice organization and they don't plan protests and it isn't activism, but just a something that's been a large part of my life for like 10 years is summer camp. And that is the first place where I experienced such extreme compassion and acceptance in people. And I think it's largely because there was like a smaller focus, which was kids and bringing them joy and making them happy, that could be applied to the rest of the world. There was, a large group of adults that would all they would do for 24 hours a day is just try to keep all these hundreds of kids safe and healthy and happy and accepted. And just seeing those people work so hard and getting to be one of them, it really shaped my life. And even on a smaller scale, it was the first place where my pronouns were respected. And it was the first place where I could openly talk about like my life at home. It was just such a different environment of acceptance. And that's definitely a platform that inspired me to take those values outside and apply them to the larger world.
I love that, Rena. I totally like relate to because I feel like, I used to do a summer camp, and then, being able to like go as a camper through experiences like that, and then graduate and be one of the counselors and have like that privilege and that power of um, having the responsibility to make these kids happy is just like it's a lot of like reflection that deserves and a lot of compassion that it requires. Um, and so yeah, I like really love that. For me personally, I would say my parents have been the main people inspiring my activism. They're both like heavy activists. And so since I was really little, I've been going to protests and, like campaigning for Obama, like in a stroller. Like I've been doing the things. So I would think that like they've definitely been my moral guides and kind of opening up conversation and dialogue. That's allowed me to question things I learn and things I know, as well as a safe space to um, learn like the things that they don't teach you in schools, like the things that, we often try to hide in our history. And I think that's been really helpful. And I'm so appreciative of them for that.
For me, it was like a lot of people's spoken word poems. I would always think about them and like why they did it. And probably a lot of like personal experience for me because of like the things that happened wrong. I would just always question it. And that's probably made me why I'm activism, doing advocating for stuff that I'm passionate today.
All right, I guess I can go off one of my questions. I wanted to know what is an opinion of everyone's or a value that is changed or developed throughout your social justice work. And I wanted to explain this because I have said things that I don't like in my past. To be fair, they're when I was like 6 or 7, but there's still things that I developed and I changed. And I just think it's so important, especially in this work, to own up to who you used to be, not just to who you are. So that's what I'm curious about. Is there an opinion or a value that has changed or developed for you throughout the work?
I know that there definitely has been, and I think a lot of it, not really an opinion, but people I would surround myself with, I think, and definitely like even pre-quarantine, and not having the not feeling able to speak up or not speaking up. And it's not like people I'm close with, but when you hear racist or sexist or ableist things, sometimes you can feel trapped and not want to be judged or be the odd one out. And I think that's something I really do wish I could go back on, is have the bravery to just call people out on their bullshit and say oh yeah, you can't say it, stop. And yeah, I think especially when it feels like it's things that are all around you all the time, it's somewhere where you can really get trapped. And I think having this time of self-reflection has allowed me to realize that I'm that's not who I am, that's not who I want to be. And whatever happens after that, it is what it is, because if I'm gonna stand for change, and if I'm gonna be a part of groups for change and really delve into social justice in the way that I am, I have to do that in all aspects of my life, regardless of the consequences.
For me, definitely I've dealt with this because I wasn't just an open person. I wasn't really educated. I was very boundaries, and say mental health. I used to use a lot of slangs and just say whatever. I wasn't really educated, and I feel like that would hurt a lot of people. Now being more educated, I see that I've done something that wasn't good, and it's really important to say stuff and be educated on before you actually say it. So I would go back on the things I've actually said and researched more and be more open overall.
Yeah, for me, I've just developed more of a balance in my level of compassion. I know I used to be this kind of person who was a little bit mean as a defense thing, and even when I was leaving that, I would unintentionally say something really rude, and instead of being oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to say that, I understand why that's hurtful, I'd be yeah, I totally meant it, because I was defensive. And that was something that I regretted so much, and I still do, that I went the completely opposite way, and I started just being way too much and giving way too much of myself away. And I kind of learned recently that I can't put everyone's lives before my own and pretend that it's love. And that's what I've learned now, is that compassion and social justice is listening, and it's advocating. It's bringing a voice to others, and it's using your own voice to empower.
Definitely. And I really love that question too, because I feel like it's really easy to get caught up in being angry at people, especially when you're working for social justice, and some of these issues that we're fighting against are so widespread. It feels like everyone's against you. And so I think that a lot of the times that anger kind of closes us down to change and closes us down to like the possibility of forgiveness. And because what a movement needs is as many people as we can get on our side, and working towards change, whether that's, you know, going to a march at your local school, or talking with your grandparents at dinner. Like, it's the little things that really matter. And I feel if you are someone who has had a past where you're not proud of the things that you've done and your old views, that if you stay too trapped in that, and you're too scared to admit your faults, then you're never going to get anywhere. So it's really great to be able to look back and reflect and change. And as you said, acknowledge the person you were before, but make yourself better and create the world that you want to live in.
I think that's so important, especially like in advocacy, for yourself and for others, because you have to have a past life that you're not proud of, and the people that, and the actions that social justice is fighting against, have people that are doing things that maybe we don't agree with, and we're not here to murder everybody that we don't agree with. We want to develop and change their opinions. So it just feels so good to reflect on the fact that I changed myself, or you changed yourself, or Nemo changed himself, because that means that anyone can do it.
For sure. Another one of my questions is, what do you think about Gen Z's online obsession with activism?
Well, if Nima didn't want to take this one first, I think that Gen Z's online obsession with activism is definitely something, very prominent for very many reasons. And, overall, I think it's great that people are spreading information and getting educated. And there's an issue of misinformation, and there's an issue of performative activism, but it's just so long as the majority of people who are reposting articles and signing petitions and just overall trying to educate themselves and then spread the word of what they just learned, that's progress. Education is progress. And I don't know obviously, like, I don't know the exact statistics of how many people actually care about issues, or how many people are just, reposting something to their story. But all I care about is that it's the majority of people who actually are caring. And yeah, if caring about social issues has become a trend, so be it. Fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree with Rena. At least part of the majority of the Gen Zs care about, activism, I guess. I like that they're like spreading information of like what they care about, what they learn, their progress. But I do also feel like there could be some bad stuff about it, like spreading misinformation, like putting like bad opinions or something. But at least overall of them care and people can learn and be more educated and listen. I feel like that's very important.
Definitely. And as I was thinking about it, one part of it's like pretty funny. Like, the TikToks are like, oh, that's the 2020 like museum. And then it's like, this white person like fake throwing tear gas, and it's just ridiculous. Or like, people, I don't know, selling BLM tops on Depop for like $100. Like, it's this kind of thing where it's hard not to laugh, because it seems so ridiculous, and then it gets kind of sad because you're like, oh, this is what some people think activism is. But definitely, as you said, It's just having people care so much, and even if that manifests itself in odd ways, I think is really great, especially among this younger generation, because we're the ones that are going to be growing up next, and we're going to be the ones owning companies and in government. And I think having yourself and your childhood, or your teen years at least, rooted in a social justice movement will really changes your outlook on life, and really changes how you approach situations and how you look at the world. And I think I'm grateful for it, even if it is a little funny at times.
Yeah, I wanted to add, I know that AOC is like a large political leader and role model for a lot of Gen Z. I think she's great. But something funny she did recently that you reminded me of is she made this like merchandise with a lot of like, like leftist statements, and she was selling a shirt that said "Eat the Rich," but it was like $60, and I just thought it was so ironic.
I know, it's just lots of contradictions everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's better than the other options. So
Nima, did you want to do another question? Or I can, anything works.
if they're not feeling it right now, you can do whatever.
What is something you got involved in that has relation to racial, social justice, and mental health, etc.?
Besides this?
This for sure. That's probably the biggest one at the moment. I recently worked, like Nimo had said, I think we were in the same cohort with Camp Elsa, and I did their Your Street, Your Voice cohort, which was really cool. And that was for architecture design that was inclusive in creating spaces for change. And that was really, really awesome. And I had repurposed this police station that they're building near my house, and I made it this community center / house center. And it was really, really fun to make, and just kind of be dreamy about what you would want to see happen. So I think that's one of the things, as well as attending protests and marches. I think this year has been when I've really become involved in the behind the scenes and actually being a part of it. But for a while now, I've just, with me and my family, we've gone to lots of different marches on any array of subjects. If it's an issue, we've protested for it, I would say. So yeah, that's it for me, I would think.
For me, I have the same experience as Kaylee's, where I feel like this year and a little bit of last year is where I've like started to actually get involved in the behind the scenes of things. Yesterday at the climate justice panel, I was talking about something I was really proud of over the summer. I worked with PPS staff members and teachers and students in creating an Indigenous and frontline community-focused climate justice curriculum, a course to be taught in all PPS schools that would take it. And I'm just so proud to have been part of that planning, because as a student, I really got to, focus on making a class accessible with more the project-based learning standard. So it's not just textbooks. We all know how outdated those textbooks are. And we also got to, work on actually centering the voices of climate justice advocates that are frontline communities and not just white saviors, because that's something that I remember a lot from the Only Climate Change Education was some Peace Corps folks going and pretending like they're the first people to think of it. And I guess something else that I've been involved with, there's another member of the youth corps, Sadie McCrae. She and I every Saturday host a support group for queer youth, where we basically can, talk about issues that we have with our family, with our friends, with just, I stubbed my toe in the kitchen this morning. It's just an open space for everyone to have an identity and connect with youth. And that's something that I've been doing for a while.
For this year in particular, I'm gonna talk about like the more behind the scenes thing that I've done, not like generic ones to not make it boring. I did the PLACE program, which is just like architecture centering like social justice for BIPOC and minorities, etc. The same as like Your Street, Your Voice, but like designing more of like a thing for youth. And I did that. And then I'm on here. And then I did a mental health podcast. Well, I'm doing it right now. We're like eventing and organizing it right now. And basically, we just talk about mental health, have like speakers and different episodes about different things about mental health for the youth. And yeah, I'm really excited for that because I want to be more educated on mental health, and it's something I'm really passionate about.
Would you like to ask a question, Rena?
Yes, indeed. Okay. I'm gonna go with a very light question. I wanted to know from everyone what's something like simple, little, could be, I don't know. It could be a huge event in your life, or it could be a 5-minute event or a thing. Just something, anything that has brought you joy recently.
I love to go. I have a short little list. I would say my stuffed manatee, Oswald, brings me great joy, as well as I'm lucky enough to still be able to dance with my dance team on occasion. So I'm really, really grateful for that. My family, I would say, even though it drives me crazy being cooped up with them sometimes, I love them very much, and I'm glad we've gotten closer, as well as incense. Smells good. It makes me happy. So, yeah.
Something that's made me happy was probably connecting more with my family, even though we were super close. Like more now, they're not really us going out because like quarantine and stuff. So probably hanging out with them and like hanging a lot with my sisters and FaceTiming my friends. That's probably bringing me joy through all of this.
I guess for me, one very specific thing that made me happy recently was that I made a really gorgeous cappuccino the other day. I work at a Starbucks, so it was relevant, I swear. But that basically made my day. And I celebrate Christmas, so I really, really love gift giving. It's my love language, and I have all the ability to. So that's been making me really happy recently.
Same. I'm so excited. Wrapping gifts and things today. I'll go with another light one just because that was fun and everything's been so serious. So, okay, you kind of stole my happy one. So let me just think of one real quick. What has been your favorite moment working with the Corps?
Probably mine was like event planning for like the panel and stuff, listening to like all your guys' ideas and like what you want to do for the panels. That was probably my favorite part. But also the identity panel, like that's probably one of my favorite because I'm really passionate about it. So hearing those inspiring words, hearing other people's perspectives was really fun.
For me, I also really enjoyed. We had like a panel subcommittee meeting, and we did a little bit of panel stuff, and then we got distracted and we played Two Truths and a Lie. And I've got to say that it's unrelated to what we were supposed to be doing, but it also really made me feel connected with the group, and I thought it was super fun. And then I also have to shout out for the 9th time again the climate justice panel I had yesterday. It was so cool. I was trying not to like overall the people there.
For me, I would say, 2 days ago, I had hosted for Kendall Poetry, and she read her first poem, and it was just beautiful. And I almost cried, but I was like, I have to keep it together because I was asking her questions afterwards, and that was just amazing. As well as many subcommittee meetings are always fun, and getting a lot of stuff done is nice. But I think the best part was one day I opened our central workbook and it finally all made sense. And I had been like so confused by all the tabs and everything, and I was like, I get it now. I think that was
that was me like this whole week.
amazing.
Yeah. To me too. I had that moment. I guess, yeah, I have to add that it's been really nice overall just to see how things came together. If for any audience that's watching, it started out really chaotic and there were so many amazing ideas, but it's just been so cool how everything is just into place and we've managed to pull this off.
I still can't believe it sometimes, from where we had started and everything being so obscure, and where we are now, and everything's just a nice schedule and running perfectly. So
Since you all are all doing light ones, I just made this one up my head. Since like this whole year and just a lot of stuff hard is going around, I thought to tell you guys a question. What do you guys do for self-care?
I love that question.
I'll take it because I never really picked. I did this once during quarantine, and I gotta say it was the best self-care ever. I took a bath, but then I ate sushi while I was taking the bath. And I felt like a princess in one of those Renaissance movies. Even though they don't have sushi in like Renaissance era, it doesn't matter. That was just great, and I felt so refreshed and happy. And that was just really, really nice, and I think about it a lot. So.
I've always done this like a lot, but at the beginning of quarantine, it kept me alive. Let me tell you, I really like going on extreme walks, just around the neighborhood. I'll go like 10 miles and just walk. And I haven't been able to do it a lot recently because more people have been out and about. So I'm like, and it's been busy. But I guess like the most recent time I went, well, not the most recent time, one of the most recent times I went, a special place was again with Sadie McRae. We walked all the way to, what's that mansion in Portland? It's like a museum now. I'm going to go crazy. It's just a really big house on the top of a hill in a really weird place in Portland. And we walked all the way there. And when we got to the top, the state was on fire. And we had no idea it was the day of the forest fires. But the rest of it was really lovely. Oh, Pittock Mansion. That's what it is. Thank you, Riddy. Yeah, walked there. So besides the forest or the 3 states being on fire, it was really nice.
Orange sky, just beautiful.
Gorgeous here. It smells like a campfire.
For me, probably like going on walks with my sisters or like playing basketball at the night with like our little basketball court. I don't know. That's always fun to do at the night with my like brothers, and journaling and being by myself because I have so many siblings. I kind of need that time to be by myself. And like watching a really good feel good movie or show. That's like the best because I already know I'll be happy. So
Definitely feel good movies. I like watching cartoons as like a de-stressor. All right. Well, it looks like it's about our time. Is there anything else that anyone wants to add?
I think we ended on a great note.
We did too. Awesome. Nemo, any thoughts? Okay. No worries. Oh yes. So I guess
yeah. Thank you. I guess just like thank you all for hearing us like talk for like an hour, and go see like the evening session. Is it like at like 9 maybe?
At 9 o'clock.
yeah, 9 to 10:30 p.m. is our last 3 artists for the night. I will be your host. Please be there. The people are so cool.
Yeah, go check it out and like go check our website.
Oh, quick thank you to our sponsors. 350 PDX, Friends of Noise, and City Repair Project, as well as our community partners, which is Pocketbook, Morpheus Youth Project, Friends of the Children, Bodecker Foundation, and Next Up. Wanted to shout those guys out.